Alex, I have a bone to pick with you.
Oh, okay.
So,
what's it about?
Well, this is actually a recurring problem that I've had with you that I've been really upset about, and I feel like the show is the prime place to bring this up with you.
Okay. The audience.
And so I want everyone to hear it.
Is this going to be a struggle session?
Every time I visit you, when I leave, you do this thing that really offends me. You always ask me to text you when I get home. It's a 2.5-hour drive from your place to my place. You're southern-ish Illinois, central Illinois. I'm up north in Chicago area. And I always hear that and think, one, does Alex think I'm not smart enough and capable enough to take care of myself? And two, it's pretty sexist. Frankly, I am so, yes, it's sexist to me as a man.
Internalized misandry.
It would be it's sexist enough that you're telling me this, asking me this as a man, let alone if I was a woman. This is all terrible behavior, and I think you need to consider
Well, I've seen you with a clean-shaven face and baby cheeks.
Yeah, you've been urging me to shave for a while now. Now I know why. You're like, don't cut your hair and shave your face.
I've also been bringing up King Spa recently a bit, so.
True. I am, of course, talking about the recent article in The Independent, which is a British website.
Oh, the British.
Please don't ask me to message that I've got home safe. It's sexist. I am not joking about the fact that you and your wife both ask me to text when I get home. I'm also not joking about the that I'm not complaining because everybody I know does this, and I do it to them too. I have asked you when you and Erica visited. I've always been like, let me know you've gotten home safely. When this girl I'm talking to, she's been driving all around the state, and I'm just like, hey, let me know. I just want to know you got home safe.
Even without, in that case, even when we don't specifically ask you to say, hey, text me, it's like you or us we've taken upon ourselves just to go and shoot us a quick text and be like, hey, thanks very much for the weekend. We had a great time, and it usually comes within like 2-3 hours or whatever.
Well, when I get home from visiting you, generally 2.5 hours, might stop to have lunch or something on that trip. Like this last time, I just drove straight through because I was exhausted and hungover.
Sunday was not fun.
I'm sorry, that was my fault.
No, it wasn't.
I was all like pumped up.
I was trying to remember if we even sat up and watched anything, but I feel like we just drank and then we just hit the sack.
Yeah, we didn't stay up. Because I was all like giddy after we went out with your wife and friends, and you guys left first because you had to get to the babysitter and kick her out. And I then stopped at because I drove separately. I was like, I'm going to Meyer.
Well, she was a family member, so it's acceptable. I'm
sure.
Fine.
I was like, I'm not done drinking. Fuck this. So I went to Meyer and bought a bottle of mid-range scotch, and then like walk in the door, and I'm like, sup guys, we're not done yet. So anyway, the point is that after like that night, girl and I texted and we're like, got home safe, or how are you doing? Thanks for everything.
Yeah. Especially a night of drinking, that's just common courtesy.
My mom asks me to text her that I've gotten home when I drive 25 minutes from her place to mine. So this isn't, we'll get to the article, but I'm just saying the very premise of this complaint is fucked.
Absolutely, 100%.
So please don't ask me to message that I've got home safe. It's sexist. It's become the norm to ask women to share their whereabouts and let friends know they're okay. But this seemingly sweet checkup ignores the truth about the dangers to women and men, argues Helen Coffey. This just seems like I have to turn in some work, but I don't know what to talk about, so I'm just going to make it this fluff thing that is like innately stupid.
This is like you're honestly trying to pass off shit posting and green tech stories as a legitimate article for major publication.
Well, in all likelihood, this is self-aware trolling.
I'll take things that never took place for 500, Alex.
As in, this is just another clickbait thing that we're drawing attention to. But I do believe that there are people out there who probably believe this.
Like Helen Coffey of The Independent.
Message me when you get home, okay? The line is phrased like a question, but delivered like an instruction. I am not expected nor allowed to decline.
Oh my God. I really hope this person one day wakes up and realizes she has no friends.
I shift uncomfortably while weighing up my options. There's so many like extra words with British English. I shift uncomfortably while weighing up my options. I don't know the woman in front of me particularly well. You see, she's more acquaintance than friend. So I swap my real unfiltered responses for the less confrontational, oh, I always forget to do that, throwing in a zany, I'm such a scatterbrain, shrug for good measure. So it's just easier if you don't expect to hear from me. I don't want you to worry. Blah, blah, blah. So what's the crux of her argument? I don't know when this new safety measure became so entrenched in women's nightly rituals. Nightly? Is this really women's?
Nightly?
I never thought of this as exclusively feminine.
It's also... I mean, parents do that. Like you were saying, like your mom, like parents do this shit all the time and stuff like that. It's like, I mean, it's also, I mean, what's her relationship with her parents or, you know, all this other stuff. But she makes it sound like it's like you have to, like, you're given an option between killing like a newborn puppy or a child. Like
I've been asked by my family to let them know I've arrived at my destination since the cell phone. I mean, realistically, I think it would have been the same even if cell phones weren't real. It'd be like, give me a call when you get to the place where you're going.
One hit to collect, phone card.
Yeah, right. No. There's little that gets my hackles up in quite the same way. For starters, I'd wager a kidney that this woman and the countless others who have gone before her will forget our conversation the instant I leave the room. She will not notice whether or not I message, making the entire exercise obsolete. And in the unlikely event that she does, what exactly is she going to do about it? Follow me home? Call the police? Send in a SWAT team? The correct answer is absolutely nothing, which again renders the check-in superfluous. I don't agree with that at all. I think that there are people. I think that what could happen is let's say she forgets. Let's say she goes back to drinking with her friends. Blah blah blah. She gets home at midnight. Friend left at 10, and she might say, "Oh, you know what? I didn't hear from Alex. Never texted me that he got home okay. I'm going to text Erica and see if she." Or I'm going to text our mutual friend. I'm going to text David and see if because he was there. Maybe he talked to him. Nobody's heard from him. I'm going to try calling him. Make sure he got home okay. Oh, he's not answering his phone now?
Yeah, and it's the next day.
It's now I'm actually concerned. How many...
If she wants people not to give a shit about her.
There's plenty of fucking true crime series.
They love that crap.
Well, I'm just saying, like, there's a bunch of, like, real... Yes. There's a bunch of true crime things that this is how it starts.
Yeah.
So they hadn't heard from so-and-so after 12 hours, and they were freaking out, called the cops. Yep.
Police said, well, it hasn't been 24 or 48, whatever that period of time is. Until cops
it depends on how much the cops actually give a fuck.
Yeah.
Some of the cops are more eager to help. Others are like, bleh.
Yeah.
But the fact is that a lot of it stems from no one was able to get a hold of them after they left the bar.
Yeah.
That is the setting for a million unsolved crimes.
Well, last time we saw Susan was at the bar and she was talking to some guy and we saw them leave.
Right. I told her to call me when she got home. There's the fact that my independence, hard won and fiercely protected, is being called into question. I love being able to live alone, take myself traveling, walk the long way around if I fancy. I love most of all having the freedom to be spontaneous. How did agreeing to be tracked and monitored become obligatory? Why must I trade autonomy for self-reporting my whereabouts like a prisoner on parole?
Because, you dumb bint, you got one of these. It's called a smartphone. They're made by either Apple or
a million other
Android, and it's basically $1,000 tracking device. And you're gonna like how?
I actually told
gentlemen, women.
Because I told my mom, because I think that as parents age, they start to get more concerned about things that I'm sure parents are always concerned, but I think as they get older, they get more concerned because everyone gets more, and rightly so, gets more self-preservationist and starts saying, that's a little bit dangerous. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But basically, when all those men were falling into the Chicago River and drowning because they were drunk, which happens all the time.
Pooped on by Dave Matthews.
Well, those people were alive. I was like, well, Mom, if I ever disappeared, you just have to go to Google. I have my location history, my timeline turned on because I signed my life away to Google years ago. And it will tell you exactly, like, I went to this bar at this time, and then I walked to this place, then I got in a car and drove for this amount of miles, and this is where I disappeared. Like, you just go to Google, and police department can easily get this information. In all likelihood, it's just like, and then I disappear. I don't answer the phone call, and it's just like, oh, he's just in his apartment. The dot just stayed there the entire weekend. He's passed out. Yeah. So yeah, it is. It's like, yeah, because you have the means to do it easily and give some reassurance to people who, for some reason, love you.
Yeah, and are concerned about your well-being. Heavens to Betsy.
There is an impression, one that has grown exponentially in the wake of the tragic murders of Aisling Murphy, Sabina, Nessa, Zara, Alina. Don't know who these people. Women are not safe by themselves. Well, okay. Here's the thing. That is, I would argue that most people nowadays in like an urban setting, especially in an urban setting, lots of people aren't safe by themselves at a certain point and after a certain time. And it is a pendulum of how unsafe you are, obviously. But there are multiple times where I'm 5'11", almost 200 pounds. I don't feel safe all the time when I'm walking around in the city by myself in the middle of the night.
Yeah, like, it's not an exclusively female.
It's really not
thing,
especially with in Chicago. All of the like muggings, the car just drives up to you and like 4 guys jump out with guns.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not.
Or if you're an Uber driver and it's 2 PM. I mean, we've seen those stories too. You know, I mean, there's shit happens no matter what time of the day.
Well, I mean,
there's a propensity at nighttime, of course. But.
So, and it's like leaving like the Music Box Theater, go to a midnight movie. It's 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
I could take an Uber, but that's going to be $20. I'm going to just walk. It's like a mile and a half, maybe a mile. I can walk it. It'll take me half an hour. About halfway through that decision, I'm like, there's nobody on the street. It's a little intimidating. And I think that's to me, let alone if I was 5'110", it's like, I think about other girls I've known and them walking around, and I would get concerned about those girls being like, it's fucking 3:00 in the morning. You're calling me because you need a ride. Because you're drunk and don't know where you are. Like, that's like, you gotta be a little bit of self-preservation in there, please.
Well, that's another issue. It's like, that is something that is a concept that has gone out the window and nosedived straight into the Grand Canyon, because she even goes on and talks about, she lists all this stuff.
And this is just, this seems like the naivety of youth to me.
Yeah.
We are at risk from strangers anytime, anywhere. Yeah. Life is now an endless catalog of warning signs and prohibitions. Don't walk through the park. Don't run after dark. Don't go home alone. Don't fall prey to unlicensed minicab driver. That must be a British thing. Don't attempt the final stretch to your front door without rape alarm, pepper spray, and keys in hand.
You know, if you were American, you could have had a real sweet 9mm in your pocket, but I guess.
And of course, don't go to bed without first letting your friends know that you got home safe. Yeah, this just seems like a naive.
Oh my god, this is a blog post.
I get it. You think that nothing bad can happen to you.
Yeah,
and that
because you've watched all these Disney princess movies.
Oh, and now here we go. These same narratives seek to tell us it's our fault when bad things happen to us. If only she hadn't been drunk, worn that dress, walked through the park, gone running, gone home, refused to send a message saying she gotten home. Okay, that escalated a lot, incidentally. Like, the premise of this article...
Somebody's got some internalized something.
The premise of the article was about being mad that people ask you to say that you got home, and she's extrapolated that into... You should be carrying a mace with you. You should be carrying your keys in your fist and all of that stuff. I don't know. To me, it's sort of a matter of it's not your fault if something awful happens to you.
Mm-hmm.
But wouldn't you prefer to do everything in your power to try your best to ensure you're not a target for something awful to happen to you?
Right.
Don't wear headphones. I mean, it's just, I don't understand why being aware of the nature of reality is so taboo to some people.
Yeah, wearing big thing on campus is like a lot of kids get either hit by cars or gets close to being hit by cars because they're just plugged in their own universe and they have absolutely no self-awareness.
Now you're like me. You can start hitting your mic like I do.
No self-awareness to just stuff that goes on around them and stuff like that. And it's like, and this, I mean, and they have stuff in their ears. Like other people, it's just like, don't think that just because, you don't think a scenario might occur, you still shouldn't be prepared in a sense for it.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Where it's like, just because it shouldn't happen to you and it's wrong for it to happen to you doesn't mean that you should be completely carefree and act like there's zero chance of it happening.
Right.
1, 2, 1, 2. Larry, this simple exercise can help you stay healthy, which keeps medical costs down.
But you gotta do it every day, Vince. Or you'll get out of shape fast.
You could learn a lot from a dummy. Buckle your safety belt.
Well, shit, I mean, quite frankly, why the hell, like... Okay, she gives the example about like running in the park after midnight or whatever the thing was. Just like, why? Honestly, I mean, I know there's people who do that stuff, but it's like you've heard so many scenarios of this playing out to that ending that is the worst type of ending that occurs. So it's like, why are you still going ahead and running in the middle of the night and stuff like that? I mean, even if you weren't in the park and you're running, you need to have proper precaution of like some sort of reflective clothing or something like that, instead of just being like, oh, nobody's going to hit me in a car because they have headlights and stuff. It's just, I just feel like people think that like you were saying, like, worst case scenario will never happen to me because I'm super special in some capacity and stuff. And it is weird how this story just kind of went to him like, well, you shouldn't be asking me to is because it's sexist. It's like she's probably getting this stuff from her girlfriends, if she has any girlfriends, which makes it sound like she doesn't. They're just being careful and watching out for each other.
And this is the disingenuous thing. I'm not suggesting that anyone goes out of their way to court danger or that we shouldn't look out for our friends. Actually, you kind of are.
Absolutely.
You absolutely are.
Those words are there on that article.
You're just saying that it's insulting to have concern for your friends and that there's nothing wrong with you running through the park alone without any form of protection in the middle of the fucking night. On like in a utopian society, fine. Yes, you can run around wherever you want without any kind of safeguards, and nobody needs to care about you. But in reality world, it's like, it's just funny to me that, like, there's all these like women's self-defense classes, right? And they go through all of the carry your mace, carry your keys, do all of this stuff.
This
so that
is
you're
how you
not,
get out of a grip with your wrists.
Don't wear your headphones at night. And then you've got these people being like, no thanks. I'm not doing any of that. I'm not going to make any effort to prevent being a victim.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. It's just so weird to me. People get it into their heads that, like, it's like the world shouldn't be this way, therefore I'm not conforming to how the world is, because the world shouldn't be this way.
But it is. It
doesn't change what reality is.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it makes,
even in exceptionally low crime, very safe countries and stuff like that, like, you still should keep your wits about you and not just be like throw caution to the wind and stuff. Well, like that.
Even everyone always is talking about how incredibly safe Japan is.
Oh, until you get stuck into an old oil drum.
Well, there's that. But even on a lesser scale from that story is, okay, yeah, that's great. You probably aren't going to be stabbed or shot in Japan. You very possibly could be drunkenly tricked into wandering into a Yakuza bar where you're told you'll have free drinks and then given a bill for $500 when you had 2 vodka tonics.
Yeah.
And then be coerced by very large men with very intimidating tattoos to pay your bill.
Yeah.
Even though, and it's like, and if you don't, then things could very easily get violent. And it's
and the cops more often than not just don't even give a crap about that, because they're just like,
especially if you're a gaijin.
Yeah. Oh, especially, yeah. Even more so nowadays because of how things have been going with tourists. But yeah, it's they don't care. Also, like I was saying about like super safe countries and stuff like that, like, as much as they talk about the low crime and stuff like that in Japan, like, all of their police officers are armed with firearms. I don't think that just because Japan's got super low crime, that they don't take caution. I mean, I think even like cops from like Iceland, I believe, are even armed and stuff. There's like, I think in the world, there's probably, I believe, only 6 countries who have a police force. They're not armed. But, you know, that doesn't necessarily mean that there's no crime there, because
are English police armed?
There has been some talk
about
possibly changing that. Yes. The way they do operate,
they've got a club though. They've got a club.
Oh, Billy. I've got me Billy. Oh, they have a whistle. They have the whistle.
That's why the English women don't need to carry a whistle. There's a cop there to blow it for you. There's a Bobby
on every corner with one. From what I've heard, though, is that I think the way they operate is that in case they do need firearms, supposedly that there is a vehicle or a station nearby where they have the weapons, which will then go and retrieve them or something like that and bring it to a location which would be requiring firearms. And I think they have individuals that are trained and authorized to utilize them. Although, if you go to a lot of train stations or airports in London, like when my mom and brother were there, they said that there was armed cops there with like MP5s and stuff.
Well, it says in the UK, police firearm policy varies by constituent countries. In Northern Ireland, all police officers carry firearms, whereas in the rest of the UK, firearms are carried only by specially trained firearm officers.
Yeah, those are the ones. Yeah.
That's the kind of one I would want to be.
Specialist.
I want the one that gets to carry a gun.
Carry a gun.
So anyway, at the end of the day, our friend Holly, is that what her name is?
Holly Golightly?
Helen Coffey.
Oh, so Helen.
Helen's final remarks: if it makes you feel better to ask the women you know to message when they've got home safely, by all means be my guest. But be sure to share the love and request the men in your life to do the same. Or prepare Prepare to experience my unfiltered feminist diatribe firsthand.
Okay, Tumblrista. Pack it in. I love the way that she goes and calls out the guys in this when, like I was saying earlier, I'm pretty sure it's women that also do that. Like, they just... She's so...
This isn't...
Helen. She's the end boss of the Karens.
For some reason, this isn't loading comments, so I want to see if I can get the comments to load in a different browser.
Yeah.
Because I'm curious to see...
Or it's one of those fun articles where they don't have the comments section at all whatsoever, and then they kick you off to where Twitter and Facebook, they post it on Twitter and Facebook to have, you know, the plebs argue amongst themselves. Or they say, oh, comments have been turned off. It's like, I don't care if they're turned off. Show me which ones are there.
Is this... Yeah, so it's not loading there. All right, we might have to...
Different browser?
Yeah, I switched over to Chromium.
Chromium? Oh.
It's all bright white now. Today I held the door open for the person walking after me into a store. It happened to be a woman. I am concerned I may be a sexist pig. Should I have just let the door rip and slam into her forehead?
Yes.
I should admit I also asked my kids' family friends whether they got home safe. Also, my 90-year-old ma'am, asks me to let her know whether I got home safe. Is she also a sexist pig? Okay, so 61-year-old male. When I've been visiting my mom, she always calls to ask if I got home. All right, so it's all I could say is Helen, I hope that you find some peace of mind soon enough and can learn to accept concern and affection into your life without biting and screaming and crying.
Yeah.
But I
doubt it.
I doubt. I worry not so much.